Good evening. Welcome back to another math review video. Today we're going to talk about place value. And in the past, it's very important that students know what place value means or what place a certain number is in. So let's start with the easiest thing we know. We know that numbers will start before the decimal if it has a decimal at all. Remember that if it doesn't have any places after the decimal, you usually won't see that decimal. So numbers like 10 or 5 or 4 or 3, whatever. So on this one, let's start with this one. We'll put a 2 here. What place is that 2 in? Ones. That's what we call that place. That's the ones place. That's the ones digit. Now, let's make it bigger. So we put a 5 here. That number is then 52. 52. Well, what place is this 5 in? It's in the tenths place, the tens place. This is our tens digit, okay, tens digit, because there's 10, and this says there's 5 tens there. So if you wrote 10 5 times and added it up, it would be 50. So then you have 52. Let's go one step further, make it even bigger. We'll say 8 here. What is the place that the 8's in? Well, let's read the number. 852. Well, since it's 852, the only place we don't have labeled on this side is the hundreds place. Notice there's not a TH at the end of that. Hundreds. So if you added 100 together 8 times, you would have 800. So this is 852. Most students, parents, and anybody else who works with numbers can tell you ones, tens, hundreds. But when you go behind the decimal, that's when we start having issues. And a lot of times people have an arrow pointing here, straight down, and they write decimal, just so you remember what that is. Now, what's the first place after a decimal? Well, let's say we just put a 1 here. Is it the 1th place? No. Remember, when you go after the decimal, you can always add a 0 after it. So this is like 1 and a 0, so that's tens. But since you're after the decimal, you're a fraction. Think fifths, sixths, sevenths, eighths, the TH afterwards. So this is your 10th place. Your tenths, remember, there's always that THS at the end of it when it's after the decimal. So, since you could always add a 0 here that didn't mean anything, you would know this was tenths for this place. Well, let's say this wasn't a 0. Let's say it's a 7. Well, how would you say this number? You'd say 852 and 17 hundredths. Hundredths. It's like cents. Think about your dollar bill. How many cents are in a dollar? 100. So when you have two numbers after your decimal, this is your hundredths. This is your hundredths place. Notice the THS is still there, the hundredths place. So you have 852 and 17 hundredths. Now, let's do one more decimal place. Let me excuse that. Thank you. 17 hundredths. Now, we're going to put one more place after it, a 9. Well, if it goes tenths, hundredths, what do you think would be next? Thousandths. Good. Thousandths. So to wrap up this video, you have your ones place, your tens place, your hundreds place, then you have your tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. So 852 and 179 thousandths. Thank you for watching, and please tune in more, because pretty soon we're going to do a video on rounding so you can practice your rounding skills. This is very important for your rounding abilities. If they tell you to round to a certain place, you have to know what that place is. So we'll talk about that soon. Thanks for watching.